older, and it's harder when you're older to begin.
Well, first off, congratulations on winning the Tony for your performance in Fun Home, which also won 5 Tonys in total. So what is the mood over there right now?
Well, you know, ecstatic, I would say, largely, and relieved to be able to kind of get back to doing the work that was the reason for all of the attention in the first place.
Of course. Were you involved in the production from the workshop period, or did you join the cast later on?
Not from the earliest parts. Lisa and Janine have been working on it for almost 6 years, I think now.
Wow.
I came on board about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 maybe, in the production, a short workshop before the production at the Public Theater.
What is it like being in a production that is so perfectly in tune with the zeitgeist?
Well, it's a rare thing, I think, to be on Broadway and feel like you're in tune with the zeitgeist, because you know often we feel like you know, relics of a bygone age on Broadway. I think Broadway's always hoping and looking for new ways to engage in the modern world, and sometimes that's by trying to get pop composers to compose and things like that. This is interestingly a show that written by people who Janine Tesori and Lisa Krohn are very they're very well versed in theatrical history and in how musicals are put together, even though Lisa, this was her first time writing one.
Let's talk a little bit about your role. You play Bruce, a father who is based on Allison's father, based on her memoir, her portrayal of him based on the memoir. What kind of research did you do?
Well, interestingly, I'm someone who loves to do research, and I've played a lot of historical figures and loved sort of spending time going through books, and I have a great tango library now of tango albums from working on Evita, and I like to sort of immerse myself in the individual and the society and the world at the time and all of that.
Your Yale professors would be proud.
Exactly. Motivated history lessons.
That's right.
But with this, there wasn't so much material because Bruce was not really a public figure. He was a real person, but not a public figure. And really, mostly what I had to go on in the beginning was Allison's book, which I began to read early on in rehearsals and then sort of stopped myself feeling like, even though Allison worked very hard to be as objective as she could be about all of her life, there's a limit to how objective one can be. And I thought I need to sort of try to understand and interpret and feel my way into Bruce's idea of himself first before taking on Allison. How
did you then connect to his emotional life? How did you get in there?
I think, you know, it's somewhat of a mystery to me, to be honest. I'm not, it's all been very intuitive. I know that the world that the Bechdels inhabited felt very familiar, even though the particulars of their family are entirely different from my own.
All those nuances and all those layers definitely came through in your performance. It was such a beautiful portrayal. Also, you could see how this is so poisonous to be a person who cannot fully be who they are.
Right.
And even though your character commits suicide at the end of the play, you almost feel as if he's dying a slow death.
Well, I think that's the thing, because you know, the death was ruled technically accidental, and having been to the actual spot, it's very easy to believe that it could have been an accident. But Allison's feeling, and I think it's borne out in everything that we do know about Bruce, was that it was an accident waiting to happen one way or another, whether he specifically did it on that day or not.
Right.
And that's the most painful and terrible thing, I think, in considering the characters, that it seems preventable, and, and you feel the tragedy is that he wasn't able to know himself.
There are so many recognizable moments in this play. I mean, whether it's your college sexual awakening or whether it's your family dynamic. I'm curious if you have lots of fan reaction, sort of personal fan reaction.
Yeah, in fact, one of the most wonderful things about the job is the audience response. In the bows, it feels like I really love our bows because it feels like the entire room is sort of celebrating this event that we all are very conscious that we've created together, not just the cast showing it to the audience, but the audience really being part of it too. And then afterwards, the line of people who wait for us in the lobby, sometimes for a long time.
Wow.
And it's not that they just want autographs or selfies, although, you know, they do, but more often, or at least equally, it's people who just need to talk to you about what they've just been through, and they need to share with you their connection to the story, whether it's, you know, they've just come out, or they're, you know, they're dealing with, you know, whatever issues of questioning their lives.
Have you ever had someone say to you, based on Bruce's life, I may be closeted and I'm not going to live that way anymore?
I specifically had someone contact me through Facebook to say, and it wasn't anybody I knew, but he just said, I've been to the show several times, and I, you know, I don't want my life to end up like that.
Theater does have the power to change the world. It really does.
You always tell yourself that, you know, and you want to believe that what you're doing is not simply entertaining people, not that that is a bad thing to do at all, but the kind of theater that I've always wanted to do, theater has certainly changed my life, and it's certainly, I've seen things that have made me rethink what I thought about life and try to change my life in some ways. But there's a part of you that always kind of suspects that maybe you're just telling yourself that to feel better about what you do. In the case of this show, there's kind of irrefutable evidence that people are coming and thinking differently about their own lives, about other people's lives, and to get back to your question about, you know, being part of the zeitgeist, that's an astonishing thing to be feeling at this moment, where, you know, our country is actually looking at itself and deciding that it maybe wants to be different and more inclusive.
Absolutely.
You know, that's extraordinary.